Hey everybody, we're back. AL13, Keith Borg speaking. Panel installation. Probably seen it in the past, but because we have our new universal backplate, new system clips that go on the wall, we really want to make sure that we just kind of go over the whole thing again. We just finished a video on doing horizontal plank, vertical plank. We're going to have panel on top of each section. In this section here, we're going to have a reveal cap in the middle, 2 panels on each side. So I just want to show you real quick. So this is a blade. It's a non-ferrous blade. It's 6 1/4 inch. This goes on a battery operated skill saw. As you can see, they take the 6 1/4. They will also fit the 7 1/2. So they're meant to fit on both, but because the 6 1/4s are usually easier on site, battery operated. Basically, we use this to cut panels. So this is a guide and it gives you up to 2 feet a section. So if you're doing fascia bands or anything like that and you've laid everything out perfectly, excellent guide to help you cut the panels nice and straight. With this one, we're going to start with a vertical. Normally, we would tuck our horizontals into our verticals. But in this situation, because we don't want a black cap coming in the middle of these 2 wood frames, we're going to have to tuck the vertical into the horizontal rather than the other way around, where usually we're tucking horizontals into the verticals, okay? When you're transitioning, you have to switch it around a little. You want to finish the back framing first before you start cutting panels. It's very important. You don't want to be wasting panels. You don't want to be wasting top caps. These are the less expensive components. You make a mistake with these, you can adjust them so that you're not wasting as much product. But once you have your top pieces and finished product, you want to make sure you measure 3 times and cut once. So right now what we're going to do is we're going to install our vertical reveal cap backplate. Okay, so in the design we have 2 panels here with a reveal cap in the middle, reveal cap perimeter at the top, and that'll continue on to this side. This wall, we're just going to do 1 big panel on this wall, okay? In the panel system, we want to make sure all our backplates are fastened every 24 inches. If you start with the bottom, this is going to start going like this and flopping all over the place. Gravity's a beautiful thing. Try and use it as best as you can. Start with the top, hangs nice and easily at the bottom, and then get your level, exactly what Andre did, nice and easy. Makes life a lot easier. Okay. So in this case here, we're going to pretend that there's another product above us. So there might be a flashing detail there or something. So we're going to err to the side of caution and we're going to segment the top section just in case we're not sure what's above us. If it was a soffit scenario where we were tied up against that soffit, we wouldn't have to segment these backplates. Or if it's underneath a flashing detail, sometimes you don't have to. I always like to underneath a window flashing or something like that, just in case you get water underneath. You want that water to come down, breathe, let our system pressure equalize constantly and dry out if there's ever any water scenario. So in the panel system install, we're going to create a perimeter of where the panel is going to be sitting within, okay? We've done the sides, we did this center one now. Now Andre is going to continue with the segmented backplates on the top, and then we're ready to start measuring and cutting panels. That's really the end of the project almost when you do that. 4 hands are always better than 2. If you got a helper, it's always nice to have. Right, Andre?
Yep.
Space them apart. We pulled them back from each side so that we don't have them too tight against each corner. That way we have a clip here and a clip here. We're going to explain the whole clip system once we're done putting these next 3 pieces on, and then we'll explain what our system clips do and how they work. We're going to see 1 big panel here, as you can see, and we're going to see 2 panels going vertically here. All right, so the next step, what we're going to do, we're going to measure. What I do is I'll measure from the inside to the inside, and I got 58 1/2, and that's minus a 1/16 on each side. So that gives me 58 1/2. I'll go 58 1/2. That's just my technique. Everybody has their own techniques. So now I want to go inside to inside, and that's 45 1/2. And then that way you can just go around and start measuring all your panel sizes that you need so that you can just never forget, never make a mistake. Oh, the other thing I like to do, measure top and bottom. It's not every time that you're going to be square. So I'll go from the bottom and yep, 48 1/2. And I'll go to the top, and yeah, we're good, 48.5. And then I'll do the same on this side, 29.5. Yeah, okay. So we're precise. Yeah. We'll do the same here. Okay. Okay. All right. So now everything is measured. Minus, I've already deducted 1/16 of an inch all the way around each panel. So now all I need to do is go and cut the panels. We want to make sure that the AL13 panels are always installed directionally. You'll see here there's an arrow, and then obviously we have our writing is all facing one direction. So when you're on the wall and you've got two types, metallic or wood grain, they always have to be installed the same way. Writing always going the same way. If you have one that's upside down, you could imagine if it was wood grain, what would happen? You would have wood grains going this way and then wood grains going this way. With metallics, because of the way the metallic is painted on, and they're basically all these little flakes that get laid down all the same way when they're painted, if you have one panel rotated, it'll actually look like a different color on the wall. So please be careful with wood grains and metallics. With solids, you can rotate these any which way you want. They won't change because it's a solid color. So when you're cutting an ACM panel, it's really, really important you have a good blade. Make sure the blade is not old, not reused. For every AL13 job, making sure that you have an install kit, which you'll have a new blade every time. When you're cutting the panel, some people like to cut it with this part up. Some people like to have it the other way around. It's your preference, but just be careful when you have it the other way around where you've got this end upwards. Make sure that the base isn't exactly what I just did. Make sure it doesn't have all those bits there, because those bits will potentially scratch this film that we have on here and then get into the paint and then scratch the paint. Pretty hard to scratch this paint, but if you're dragging this along and, you know, pulling it along, it's not good for it. And also when you're carrying these panels are typically 4x8 most of the time. Make sure you're not dragging these panels across the panel underneath it when they come in the stack. They get flat packed and delivered to site. Keep that in mind. So make sure you're not grabbing a panel and just going, get two guys, lift the panel, or use the suction cups, lift it off, and then carry it off. That way you don't scratch the panel below, okay? It is, you know, a higher end product, so handle it with some due care. Thank you. We're now ready to put the compressible system clips on the wall, because our panel can't just sit here. They need to be sitting on something, and they'll be sitting on a series of these around the perimeter of each area. They don't sit on this ledge, panel meaning they don't sit on this ledge. They actually sit on these system clips. So basically we install these system clips every 16 inches on center. And in the corners, we like to keep them 3.5, 4 inches, 5 inches apart. That way you have a nice solid corner. So that's why we segmented our back plates like this, where we have them just sitting away from the corners a little bit so that we can do this exact scenario, okay? Now there is a right and a wrong way to put these on. The right way is the shorter side, where the opening is, that goes inside our little wing of our back plate. Take that nice edge on an angle like that and just snap it in. It's not gonna slide, it's not gonna come out because it has a little groove that holds it out. Every 16 inch on center. Once we get these clips on, Andre can get our panels installed. Nice snap, you can hear that snapping. That means you've got it nicely engaged. Perfect. Bang. Beautiful. Okay, so our next step is we're going to install some panels. Let's talk about an ACM panel. An ACM panel stands for aluminum composite material, and then what that means is there's two skins of aluminum compressing a core. Now that core can be either polyethylene or a fire-rated core. Please make sure that you reference your architect drawings or call your local building inspectors to make sure that you are using the right core for the right application. We carry 5 colors of the polyethylene core: silver metallic, galaxy black, acorn gray, slate, and white. Okay, so we have lots of panels in stock with all the extrusions. Reach out to your territory manager to find out what you need. This panel is a pretty stiff panel, but in certain wind load scenarios, you will require an extra stiffness that comes from your engineer or architect. They will be able to help you with those details. We can give you all our wind load tests, and then you can reference how many of these you're going to install. What this I-beam does is it creates panel stiffness, okay? Now we have a thin side and a thick side. The thin side goes against the panel, and that's it. You don't have to screw this to the wall. It's not meant to screw against the wall. Actually, there should be about 1/8 of an inch gap. When you fasten this to the panel, to the back of the wall, there should be a gap, okay? We have our double-sided adhesive tape, so we've cleaned each side with polypropylene. That makes sure that all the surfaces are free of any dust or grease. Quickly peel back this tape. Thin side, fat side. Tape is on the thin side. Double-sided tape, okay? We sell that as part of our package. And then I'm going to keep it away from the edges because we don't want it interfering with our back plates. So we don't want them going all the way down to the edge like that, okay? We want them up inside so that the back plates are not interfered. Basically, we're just putting that on like that. Very large format panels, really important that you reference the right guide with your engineer so that you get the right amount of stiffeners on there. We're gonna start installing. So, first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna drop in the bottom side. So it's between the clip and the back there. Okay, because we measured twice, cut once. There we go. I'm gonna slide over a bit. All right, nice and tight, nice and snug. So the reason why I'm not putting this vertical one on first is because I have an inside corner right here that is a fixed end. We're gonna do that corner first so this panel will hold into place. So that way we don't have to hold this panel anymore. It's holding by this edge, and then we can start moving this way, okay? We have to peel back the Danco around all the edge, right? So I just go back a couple inches, okay? That way you don't get any of this film stuck behind the caps, okay? And you notice I'm going in one direction. I want to keep my panels all in one direction. It is a solid, so I'm not too concerned about that. I always like to just make it so when you're on the wall, it looks good. You want to see the name. Two-piece outside corner. Normally I would be working on this side. Usually I'll have an end frame here, so I wouldn't be putting this on yet. Outside corner sled. It's basically like our other sleds. It has a specific use, and it's meant to fit on that 90 degrees so that when I hammer this in, it's hammering it evenly down onto the back plate. Okay, so we're gonna do the exact same thing like our other stuff, but with our outside corner sled for our two-piece outside corner. Now that we've obviously secured, we have our outside corner here, we have our cap here, we have two edges we can get this panel in. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna slide that panel in and against here. Okay, nice, beautiful. Okay, so we have a nice clean finish. We can now focus on this corner, so let's get this panel in. Okay, look at that. Oh, we've got, there we go. Nice fit. Good job. All right, let's get this vertical on first. You got that vertical ready to go? Okay, so let's just show how we're doing this. This is important. So when you're putting a vertical or tucking anything into another one, you just want to kind of just a nice, gentle, just like that. Gets it nice and tight in there. And then what we're going to use is snap lock engagement device, which is, in other words, a sled. Okay, this is for a reveal. And this reveal, this piece here is meant to sit inside that reveal. And these edges are not meant to touch the edges, okay? So try and keep that centered, nicely centered, and then we'll just hammer that in. Now we're going to put the top course on. And then we're going to install the bigger panel, and then we're almost done. Okay, so those two vertical installs are now complete, and we'll just remove these Dancos off. Now you've got your finished product, horizontal plank, vertical panel install with the reveal and flat cap surrounding, end frame, outside corner. That's all you got to do. Yep. Nice. Boom. All right. So now we've got the top on, and we're going to put our vertical piece on, which is pre-cut. It's all nice and secure. The panel's nice and tight, no rattle. Boom. And that's it. So now we'll pull this all the way. Hey, this is Keith with AL13, and now that we've completed this project, please go to AL13.com, watch all our videos. We teach you a lot of different tips and tricks and how to install plank and panel system. Thank you, AL13.com. Subscribe.